Hey, hi all, and I will talk about the containers ecosystem on the Azure platform. I'm Abhishek, and I'm an architect for intelligent cloud and automation. And as Simon mentioned, I'm a proud MVP of C# Corner, and I have deep expertise in building Azure and .NET-based new generation architectures. I have reached 14 plus years of experience. I am a published author with my mastering and with BPP publications, and recently I have published a book on mastering Azure serverless computing. I am certified in TOGAF and couple of my Microsoft certifications. Okay, so that's about me. Without spending much time on my profile out here, so let me start with the agenda. So today we will talk about containers. I'll give a brief introduction on containers, and for the next 10 minutes or so, I will talk some theoretical aspects on Azure Container Registry, then Azure Container Instance, then Web App for Containers, then Azure Kubernetes Service, then Azure Service Fabric. I'll give you the big picture of how all these things work that just now I spoke, like I named those Azure services, the container-based services in the Azure ecosystem, and I will give a big picture of like how they work. And once I'm done with giving the big picture, I will get into the demo where I will try to demo few of these services. Okay, so let's get started. So containers. So containers are basically the most exciting thing that is happening nowadays. And in any of the new designs, at least I am doing. So I'm thinking of from that container mentality where like I try to bring in a lot of containers to my application ecosystem. So maybe Kubernetes or like Azure Service Fabric, I try to get in containers. So it's exciting. Why? Because they're highly portable, they're easy to adapt and lightweight. I'll come back to each of these points and what I mean by them. So basically containers, so using a container, you can package your application along with all its dependencies and take it to the target environment and directly run it there. You need not set up any application dependency on the target environment. It is already there in the container. You just need to run the container there on the target environment. So, and you are done. You save a lot of time. So you need not get into the complexities and those issues that you face while configuring the application setup on the target environment. Now the next thing is like container is of course a virtualization concept. It's an operating system virtualization concept and it is lightweight. The reason being, so when we talk about virtual machines, in the case of virtual machines, we have an infrastructure. On top of the infrastructure, mostly we have a host operating system running. On top of the host operating system, we have the hypervisor that virtualizes the underlying infrastructure and runs the virtual machines. And each of these virtual machines have a guest operating system of their own. But in the case of containers, I need not have any kind of operating system running inside the container. Rather, it runs on top of the operating system itself using this container engine. So this container engine helps me to virtualize the underlying operating system and host multiple containers on top of it. Okay. And it's highly portable. So I can build my container along with all its dependencies. I can put it in Azure Service. I can put it in Azure Container Registry, keep it there, and I can go to multiple environments, like maybe like my stage environment, maybe my production environment, maybe my development environment or a beta environment. To any environment I go, or to in multiple client environments, I just need to tweak very few things and get it running in no time. So I need not, as I already told, I need not get into the complexities of configuring the environment. So that is all about the containers. So now let us explore the container ecosystem in the Azure platform. Okay. To start with, it is Azure Container Registry. So what is Azure Container Registry? It is the repository for the container images. Okay. So we build the container images. We need to keep it somewhere. So where we need to keep it? In the Azure platform, we have the Azure Container Registry, which is the private Docker registry we have in the Azure environment. It stores all the container images and you can version it pretty well using tags. So you can associate tags with the container images and keep it in the Azure Container Registry. And you can store also the related contents like the Helm charts. I think Helm charts is doing pretty well like nowadays, like if you are working in a containerized environment. So Helm charts helps us a lot in a lot of deployments and doing a lot of things. So yes, you can keep your Helm charts in your Azure Container Registry, and also other kind of images built on Open Container Initiative specification. Even Dockers are also based on Open Container Initiative specification. You can keep all these images in the Docker registry. And the most important part is, or the beauty of Azure Container Registry is, there are several ways to push images to Azure Container Registry. You can use DevOps pipelines, you can use your Docker commands, or even directly from Visual Studio also, you can build a container image and push it and publish it directly to the Azure Container Registry. So there are a lot of ways that developer gets to interact with the Azure Container Registry. And it's a patch-based service, and hence it is highly scalable and highly available. Okay. So the next is the Azure Container Instances, and this is something new and one of the greatest service in this container ecosystem, because it is very much futuristic, and I'll tell you why. So before that, let me just quickly tell you that Azure Container Instances can boot up very fast. You need not have any kind of virtual machine on Azure or any kind of service to run any container. You can simply run it on top of Azure Container Instance. You can boot it up very fast. It spins up very fast, and it is very easy to even create a container just in minutes. We'll see this in demo. And also it shuts down in no time. And why it is very important, and it has a lot of importance in today's designs, because it is the basic building block of serverless nodes in Azure Kubernetes Service. As we all know, so all modern containerized applications are based on Azure Kubernetes Service, right? So in Azure Kubernetes Service, we have nodes. We'll see that, definitely I'll walk you through a case also. So in case of Azure Kubernetes Service, we have physical virtual machines. So virtual machines take time to boot up. So suppose you're scaling up when you get a lot of requests. So it's not something immediate that another virtual machine will quickly spring into action and start serving the request. But in the case of Azure Container Instance, you can quickly have a Azure Container Instance ready. So it spins up in no time, as I told you. So what happens in the background is, so whenever any request comes in, or a huge amount of requests comes in, like in seconds or rather in minutes, so you can have thousands of Azure Container Instances pinned up and start serving the application request. So that is why we do a lot of Azure Container Instances nowadays, and it is the basic building block for the serverless nodes. The reason why I told you for Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay. So let me talk about the web app for containers. It is another offering, and it's a pretty old offering, but from last 2 to 3 years, they've started supporting containers on that. And I really love this service, because if you know, when we are setting up any web app service in Azure, so what we do, we build our application and we deploy it on the web app. And it's a platform as a service component. We need not worry about the infrastructure as all the infrastructure aspects for the web app. But here, we might have some kind of dependencies. At least I have seen in my designs, at times I need to use some kind of dependencies that web app extensions doesn't support. Maybe some kind of Python libraries I might need to use with web app. So what I will do, it's not always easy to have that kind of extension available on top of web app. So in such a scenario, I need to think out of the box, or else I can't give that application that has some dependencies that is not supported by web app and give it to my client. So to address all these issues, what we can do is we can build our application, containerize it, have all my dependencies inside that container, and use that container inside the web app. So I'm sorted. If I need any kind of Python service or any kind of binaries or some kind of extensions that web app doesn't support, so I can build it in and bake it inside the container. I can have the container image ready. I can run it on top of web app. So I'm good. And the best part of web app is it works seamlessly with multiple DevOps tools, maybe Azure DevOps or any infrastructure as a code solution like Terraform or anything. It helps us a lot. The next is the Azure Kubernetes Service. The previous two services I spoke about, the web app and the Azure Container Instance, they support single containers, right? We can run a single container in a web app or in a Azure Container Instance. But nowadays we build a lot of microservices, right? In case of microservices or any modern applications, we don't have a single container in an ecosystem. We can have multiple services or small components that can each run inside a container. So like we have number of containers to address. Then the new set of challenges comes in. So what if, like suppose for example, in one of the container I have my front end, in another container I have my database, and in another container I have my business logic processing. So what happens if my business logic processing container goes down? My entire application is down, right? So how do I address such scenarios? How can I handle such scenarios? So I need to make sure that when I'm having multiple containers in my application, then I need to handle those kind of scenarios, so that if my container goes down, then I should have a high availability option, or like I should have another replacing container spinning up quickly and starting serving the request. Also, like in case of heavy load, the container should scale independently. Maybe like at times, like you might have containers like business, some business functionality like sales, another container is doing finance, another container is doing marketing. So if one of those containers may get some heavy requests, and other containers may not get that amount of requests, in that case, in such scenarios, the container that is getting a lot of requests should scale independent of the other containers. So that is how I need to take care of all the containers that I have with my ecosystem. To address all these problems, we have with the containers, we have Azure Kubernetes Service. So Azure Kubernetes Service helps us in orchestrating our containers on the Azure platform. It's a managed Kubernetes service. What I mean by the managed Kubernetes service is like in case of Kubernetes, we have a master node as well as we have like child nodes. The master node is the control plane, which is the most complex part of the Kubernetes, and it takes days to create Kubernetes control plane. I have witnessed it. But in case of Azure, like when you create an Azure Kubernetes service, what it does is it spins up the control plane in no time. And in the nodes that we have, like we host our applications. So in case of managed Kubernetes, so when we spin up a managed Kubernetes on Azure platform, we build that control plane along with all the depending nodes, so where my application runs, and that managed control plane that I have, it abstracts all the complexities from you, like all you need not configure anything there. It is totally managed by Azure, so you have no control over the control plane. So that is why we call it as a managed Kubernetes on Azure platform. Okay, so this is how a Kubernetes architecture looks like. We have a control plane. So we have different nodes on top of which we have our applications running inside the pods. So I'm not getting deep into this. And all these pods will be pulling images from the container registry. And we interact with the control plane using API calls. Like we fire kubectl commands. There is a component called as API server that helps in bringing in those commands and acting on that. Okay. So another exciting service that Azure provides is Azure Service Fabric. It is just like another container orchestration solution where we can run multiple containers on Azure platform, but it is much more than that. And personally, I love this service a lot, and I have been using this from a long time, and I have seen like how beautifully it addresses a lot of business scenarios. And even like Microsoft runs a lot of its in-house components like Cosmos DB, Cortana, Azure SQL, Event Hub on this platform. So the best part of Azure Service Fabric is it supports a lot of stateless service, like design patterns like stateless services, stateful services, reliable actors, guest executables. So in case of guest executables, you are not just tied up with the language C# on any Microsoft languages. You can also build your code in Java or some other language, build it as a guest executable and run it on Azure Service Fabric. And you can run it on anywhere, I mean anywhere, not just on Azure. You can run your Azure Service Fabric on any other public clouds also, and also on-premises. And I would like to stress on the fact that the Azure Service Fabric environment that you run on the on-premises is exactly same as what we have on the cloud. So it makes no difference whether you are running it on-premises, on the development environment that you are building, or like it's a cloud platform. The tooling is absolutely same, and it runs both on Windows and Linux, just like Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay. So this is the big picture of the container ecosystem. As a developer, you build the container and push it to the Azure Container Registry. Then you have multiple services like Azure Kubernetes Service that we discussed, Azure Container Instances, Azure Service Fabric, the web app for containers that will pull the images from this Azure Container Registry and orchestrate it or host it and give it to the end users. And end users can access the public URL of these instances or these services and access their applications. So this is the entire big picture of how it works. The developer builds it and pushes it to the container registry, and all these services pull the Docker images from the container registry. Okay. So let me get into the demo and quickly show you a few of these services. Okay. So I have a Azure Container Registry already created. So if I go to the repositories, so it will, I can see I have one image, my demo app. I've already created and pushed it beforehand, and I have a version of it, a tagged version called as gold. Here I can keep multiple versions of my images out here and tag it accordingly. Like for my demo app, I can have a gold, I can have another tag called as latest, I can have another tag called as demo, or as a best practice, what you can do is you can tag your images as per the environment. Like my demo app, then the tag can be prod or like stage or like development. Like in that way, like per environment, you can tag it and keep it. Now let me quickly create a Azure Container Instance, and we will consume this image. Let me create a resource. Okay, let me repeat from here. In the Azure portal, you can do a create resource. Then click on this containers. It will show you all the container offerings out here. Then you click on the container instances. Then let me just select a resource group. Let me give a container name as in AVI. Let me keep it in US East. Let me, you see, like this was my container registry that I had created, and it has automatically populated this container registry. From there, I have pulled up the image, my demo app, and the image tag gold. So I have provided the registry, the container registry name, the image, and the image tag. Automatically, it has detected that it's a Linux kind of image. You can also size it based on your performance requirements. Now let me get into the networking part. Most importantly, I need to give a name to my image, basically a DNS name level. What it says, okay, it can't start with this. Maybe I'll make it this. Now it accepts. Let me review it. And create it. Let's wait a while this is getting created. Maybe while it is creating, are there any questions that I can address? Okay, cool. So let me get into the resource it's created. And you see here, there is something called as FQDN that has got created. Let me copy this and run it. So inside my Azure Container Instance, I have an FQDN. It's the same DNS label I gave it while creating the Azure Container Instance. And when I run it, this FQDN, I see that my app is up. This is a .NET Core app that I built just before the session. So this was all about the creating a container instance. Now, next, let me create a web app. So let me put it in the same resource group. Let me do a Docker container, and it's for Linux because I have built a .NET. It actually matters because it's a .NET Core application. It can work both on Linux and Windows. So let me keep it Linux. We create a Linux plan. Next, I need to specify from where I need to pull my images from. I'll say Azure Container Registry. So it automatically populated the registry name, the image, and the tag. Now, let me just review it. One sec, I think I left something. Okay, I didn't give the name. Cool. Let's sort it. Now it will validate. Let me create this. Okay. So while it is creating, we'll come back to this service. With the interest of time, I'll just quickly move to the Azure Kubernetes service and just show you what I spoke about the service, and maybe I'll just have a demo ready for that as well. Let me know if I'm going too fast and you are unable to catch up, so I'll try to slow down. Simon, let me know if I am going a bit fast and
No,
there are
you're not
questions
going.
around.
You're not going fast, but maybe maybe like to wrap up. Maybe in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be done. This is the last service that I need to demo.
Okay.
And Service
Perfect.
Fabric, anyways, I don't have anything to show. I don't have a demo. Okay, okay, the web app is complete. Let me just get into the web app. So this now, I have my container running inside the web app, and I can access it using this URL. So you can pick this URL from here. So you can see the same app, it has come up. Okay. Now let me quickly get into the Kubernetes piece. So this is the Kubernetes I have already created because it takes a while to create it. And this Kubernetes as a single node. So maybe if you go to the node pool, you can see this. Like I have a node count of 1. Also, I'll show you how to see it from there. So inside the Kubernetes, I can work on Kubernetes using this Cloud Shell, or you can also install Azure CLI locally and use it. So let me quickly fire the command to get the credentials for Kubernetes. So this is the command that we do to fetch the credentials so that my Cloud Shell will be able to interact with the Kubernetes. So here, let me show you the nodes that are there in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, you can see there is a single node. Let me see what are the pods. Basically, in the Kubernetes, inside the nodes, we have our applications running inside the pods. So basically, pods run the containers, and the pods that sit inside the nodes. Okay, sorry, I need to do get pods. Okay, there are no pods currently because I have not yet deployed anything. So I already have created a deployment manifest. So whenever we do any deployment to the Kubernetes cluster, we do it through a manifest file. I already have created a manifest that says that I need to pull my image from this location, like Azure Virtual Conf. This is my Azure Container Registry, and this is the name of my image, my demo app, :gold. Okay. So let me quickly apply this. kubectl apply -f deployment.yaml. Okay, so my deployment is done. Now let me check what are my pods available. So I have one pod available and it's running. You see, it's so fast, like the deployment is. So I need to access get services. So this is there is a concept of load balancer, like maybe in some other session I'll speak about this. It's a big area. So let me grab this external IP and let me run this here. You see, my app is up. So basically, what happened is, so like if you see here this load balancer, like this pod itself is private to the network. It has a this is the IP of the pod, like it's a cluster IP that we have through which the pod is exposed internally inside the cluster. But my customers, they need to have a look at the pod, or rather the application that is running inside the pod. So how they will get it? It's private to the cluster. Using the load balancer service, they get it. So this is for the load balancer service. This is the internal address in the cluster, and this is a public address using which it is exposed outside. So this is a way we can do it, but there are also other ways, like we can do ingress and a lot of other things specifically that is not covered here. So that is all about I had for this container ecosystem. So we saw the big picture. Let me just go to that screen. We saw this like AKS service in action, ACI, then web app for container. Maybe some other time I'll show you Azure Service Fabric. So that's all from me.